Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. We're still in the intermediate days of Passover, so Chag Sameach. Welcome to the Lehrman Chapel here at Temple Oheb Sholem in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm Rabbi Peter Kessler. I'm joined by our musical director, Christopher Prestia, and we are here to bring a Shabbat video to you. Let's begin with a cleansing breath. Let's take a nice deep breath. Maybe that will help us digest all the matzah we've been eating. They don't call it the bread of affliction for nothing. And we'll welcome Shabbat by lighting our Shabbat candles on page 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu Lehadlikner shel Shabbat. Page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Shalom Aleichem, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu is on page 264. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch Ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 267. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom ha'levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shivtecha b'veitecha ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeti Etchem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Lihiot Lachem L'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learn God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Michamocha, page 270. Let us continue together on page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch Ata Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 272. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam b'rim dolam, Yom HaShvi'i, Shabbat v'yinavash, Shabbat v'yinavash, Shabbat v'yinavash, v'shamru, v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot, et HaShabbat לדורות הבאים לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים לעולם. Tefillah is on page 273. Adonai Sefatai Kinkafu Fi Yagid Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ha'el HaKadosh. Let's join together on page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. Oh, may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Shalom Rav, page 282. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach, Happy Passover. When I was a young boy, our Passover Seders were held at my grandparents' apartment on Campbell Avenue in Rogers Park, a neighborhood on the north side of Chicago. Everyone was there. All the aunts and uncles and cousins and the great aunts and the great uncles, probably 30 or even more people crowded into the dining room, drinking pop, Chicagoans call soda pop, and Schlivovitz, that flammable blackberry whiskey, and waiting patiently for my grandpa Izzy and his brother, my uncle Jack, to finish their davening so we could finally eat. We used the Maxwell House Haggadah, of course. It seemed as though every word was in Hebrew, although when we went around the table to each read a paragraph, we read in English. My great aunts and my great uncles sounded as if they came from another world itself when it was their time to read, which in fact they did. I remember the potato kugel, the desert bird. My grandmother couldn't cook a chicken or a turkey without drying it out completely. And the appetizer plates we only saw at Passover, the ones that seemed to be coated with a forever present stickiness of many drops of wine spilled to commemorate thousands of plagues mentioned over the course of many, many years. I remember the yarmulkes kept in this same plastic bag, the dark blue and gold-colored kippot of my youth that faded to lighter blues and yellows by the time I started college. Uncle Hi would always open the door for Elijah so he could have a quick smoke on the back porch, and Uncle Marty always led Hadgadyah with his son, my cousin Ken, on his lap, delighted with every verse. The youngest recited the 4 questions, and I remember how the order changed as each of my younger cousins became old enough to sing them out to the proud relatives at the table. The Haggadah was so male-oriented. There were 4 sons instead of 4 children, and every line talked about how each man must remember that he was personally liberated from Egyptian slavery. I used to think that the women were never liberated at all, especially after dessert when all of the aunts went into the kitchen to do the dishes and scrub the pots while the uncles reclined in the living room as free men are supposed to do. The afikoman was always in the same place. Uncle Jack hid it under the tablecloth at his place just as he got up to wash his hands at the beginning of the Seder. It didn't matter, though. We each got $1 anyway. Every one of the 10 grandchildren, 9 boys and 1 girl. In later years, my father and my uncles led the Seder, and now, well, I haven't been to Chicago for Passover in many, many years. When I was a teenager and my father remarried after my mother died, there was another Seder to attend, this one at a fancy New York hotel on the Saturday night that always fell during the week of Passover. There were more than 60 who attended the Cohen family Seder, the one led by my grandpa Bernie and his brothers, the one where the meal was served by waiters in black suits and none of the guests got their hands wet, either to wash them ritually or to soak them with the dirty dishes in a sinkful of suds. As an adult and as the rabbi in the family, I became the one to lead the Cohen family Seder many years later. But as all of the first generation died out and the second generation went to Florida and the third generation lost interest, that Seder in New York became a memory as well. My parents are getting up in years now, although I am grateful every day that they're still with us. They don't travel to Harrisburg every few weeks as they used to. In fact, they don't make the trip here anymore at all. This year, as well as last, the Seder was just Christopher and me. And the second night Seder was just the two of us again, Chris at the piano, as he is every Shabbat, and me on Zoom, trying to conduct a Seder to an iPad held up by a coffee maker and a wine bottle, while all of you watched and I couldn't see any of you anyway because the camera was pointed only at me. I spent the day with my parents this past Monday, driving up to New York City in the morning, having a lunch brought in because we're still careful about the pandemic, and getting home to Harrisburg just as dusk descended. And so when you're lucky, new rituals take the place of older ones and the soul of the Seder lives on. If you're not so lucky, the childhood memories of Passover begin to fade, as some people hold on to the memories of Seders gone by without the benefit of sharing new experiences together. Now that I'm officially a senior citizen, I remember the Seders I had with a family I called my own here in Harrisburg that no longer exists. One part daughter becoming a son, one part partner leaving town for a new life. Floyd will be turning 21 soon. He has never seen a Maxwell House Agata, and the recipe for that potato kugel along with Grandma's kishke and meatballs are long gone, although I swear I can still taste them. But there are new recipes as well, a different spice to the chicken, different kinds of potatoes, matzo balls with a new texture that aren't cannonballs. New traditions as well as new memories being created every year, sometimes with the same faces, others with new faces that replace the older ones who are no longer alive. Some have said that tradition and memories are what keep Judaism alive, and I agree. If there is one Jewish holiday that is observed by our people every year, it is Passover. Not Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, which requires synagogue membership and a ticket, but Passover, the holiday where you only need a table and some unique and exotic foods and a group of people who delight in sharing memories of the past. Memories that recount our exodus from Egypt, but even more important, memories of grandparents who spoke Yiddish, memories of aunts and uncles who came to this country with hope in their hearts and nauseous stomachs from spending a few weeks in the hold of a less than luxurious ocean liner. Memories of a time when children lived next door to their parents and groups of cousins played together in the street. The world has changed. We lock our doors, we fence our yards, we live far away from the family and the friends we grew up with. We can either mourn the loss of what happened so many years ago or celebrate the creation of new memories for ourselves as well as the next generation. It's sad that grandparents no longer speak Yiddish. It's sad that Maxwell House doesn't print Haggadot anymore. It's sad that some of the old recipes have died with those we loved. It's sad when families live miles apart from each other and can't be together. But it's a great gift to create new memories with families that gather together, even though they're not related to each other. It's great to share in the memories of new friends and to create memories for the next generation, even if those will not be what we ourselves remember. Our children or our grandchildren will remember seders with bouncing ping pong balls for hail, or jumping plastic frogs, or playing games with other children, even if they aren't really cousins. We can create those new memories. We must create those new memories. We must tell not only the story of our exodus from Egypt, but also the story of the exodus of our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents from a land where they, like the Israelite slaves, could never be free. And now, today, how so many of us made the exodus away from the neighborhoods in which we grew up together, and our families dwell together as one. Let's keep those memories alive. Let's make new memories that make our souls sing. And so, Chag Sameach, everyone. May our Pesach be as sweet as the 4 cups of Manischewitz. Shabbat Shalom. Now let's take a moment to remember those in our community and our families who are sick and in need of healing by singing the Mishaberach prayer. Page 371. We ask God's blessings on all of us who are sick and in need of healing by saying, Baruch Ata Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who heals the sick, and we all say, Amen. Aleinu is on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol ha'tet gedula le'yotzer v'reshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot v'lo samanu ke'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומורים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. On this Shabbat, we remember the yardsides of Simon Abraham, Sarah Baturin, Herbert Dixon, Renee Feldman, Joseph Garner, James Gormley, Harry W. Gross, Hyman Kirschenbaum, Max A. Cohn, Samuel Krause, Ethel Leventhal, A. L. Light, Harry Margolis, Max B. Menaker, Jacob M. Miller, Harry B. Rubin. For those that have been named, or for those you may name within your own hearts, we recite the Mourner's Kaddish together on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yomad yivrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, b'galo b'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsho barichu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'yama v'yimeru amen. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. V'oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Since it is still Passover, and we had so much fun at the Congregational Seder singing this on Sunday evening, we're going to conclude with Chad Gadya. If you want to hit pause and find the words in your 30-minute Seder, they're on page 30. Some of us older folks probably remember them by heart. Chad Gadya. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya, my father bought a kid for choosing Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the water that quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the butcher that slew the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the angel of death, the Malkat HaMavet, that killed the butcher that slew the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the Holy One, blessed be God, who destroyed the angel of death, that killed the butcher that slew the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for two Susie, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Now let's ask God's blessings on all of us on this Shabbat. Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy and rest, and a week ahead filled with peace, love, and good health. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.